Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. All right, guys, for tonight, we're going to talk about Virginia. Now, what's interesting about Virginia is, of course, with the slaughtering that led to Youngkin being a governor and the House of Delegates switching to the Republican control, the Senate stayed Democrat. Now, what's interesting about this is we have about 10 to 11 months of data that shows exactly what Democrats have done when they're in power for gun control or against gun rights. But now, because Virginia is so early in the process, we get to see what Republicans are going to start to do. And this article that we're going to cover right now is a really good case in point. I've got everything linked in the description box below. And is this really what we're going to start to see come Republican time when the roles are reversed, which we know is going to happen in 2022? But that's what we're going to talk about. It's in the description box. I want to hear from you guys. Let's dive in. NRA will ask Youngkin to remove gun control advocate Lori Haas from state crime panel. Now, Lori Haas is an activist that Ralph Northam, the existing governor now, put in place to do gun control. Exactly what she is. But what's interesting about this, and this is where it gets really, really intriguing because the foot's changing, or the shoe's changing on the different feet. If you don't have control of the Senate, but you do have the House of Delegates and you can't get something through legislatively, you can still go executive action, just like we've seen Biden do for his entire presidency so far. But check it out, because this is kind of where the NRA is angling. This is interesting, right? With a Republican soon to take over the executive mansion, the National Rifle Association is seeking to remove a prominent gun control advocate from the state's crime board. Now, that's Lori Haas, like the title said. NRA officials in Virginia said Thursday that they would ask Governor-elect Glenn Youngkin to remove Lori Haas from the Virginia State Crime Commission, an agency that studies and makes recommendations related to public safety. And we're going to talk about it a little further in this article, but this is where all the gun control comes from. Ralph Northam, the existing governor, has put a lot of violations of the Second Amendment into place in Virginia because they had all three houses. They had the governor, the House of Delegates, and they had the Senate. But that's changing, so let's keep going. I'm going to show you what we're talking about here. As the Virginia director of the Coalition to Stop Gun Violence, Haas was a prominent supporter of the package of gun control bills Northam signed in 2020, though this is recent, including measures to require universal background checks for gun purchases and restore the limit on handgun purchases to one a month. Now, that is like far left national wet dream gun control, right? Those are the things that they want to happen nationwide. And for them to get them in Virginia was kind of a big deal because it is still predominantly purple. But we keep going because if we start to do this angle and we start to weed out all the gun control advocates and gun control activists from the positions of power in the executive branches in all these states, we'll see something here. Two NRA officials said Haas' membership in the Crime Commission is a conflict of interest, given that she is also a lobbyist. Now, what does that remind you of? Maybe a specific person who was nominated to the position of director of the ATF? Maybe that Chapman? Chippy Chap? David? You know, the guy who's not the director of ATF because he was an activist? Sounds familiar, doesn't it? There's always an underlying theme. The Crime Commission was recently tasked with studying a bill to ban assault-style weapons in Virginia, a policy Haas supports but that failed in 2020 in the Democratic-controlled Senate. So even in a complete blue control, it still failed in the Senate. It'll be interesting to see what happens here now that it's kind of a split power grab, right? DJ Spiker, the NRA's Virginia state director, said the group will, quote, still be putting together its legislative platform, but would not seek an overly offensive legislative agenda, in part because Democrats still control the Senate. And that's important to note. You can do the most extreme gun rights moves possible, but if you don't control the Senate, it's pointless. A really good example is the entire National Congress right now, the National Senate. Biden put forward some of the most extreme far left reaching things possible, but they got stuffed. H.R. 8, 1446, the voting bill, I think it was H.R. 1. All sorts of these bills that were so far left got stuck because they didn't have the power, and it just turned out to be a virtue signal. And that's important. You don't want to waste your energy on virtue signaling because then you end up in the same place the left is with their far left base, pissed, angry, and alone. But let's keep going. He said the group would also consider lobbying for changes to the state's, quote, red flag law, which creates a path for law enforcement to quickly seek court orders to remove firearms from people in crisis. That right there is really important because notice he didn't say we're going to go straight to Constitution carry. He didn't say complete open carry across the board. He didn't do anything on the far end of that spectrum from a standpoint of lobbying. They went for the controversial things that are right in that middle, and that's important to note. And it's going to be really interesting to see where this goes as we continue down this path. But that's what I have for you guys tonight. Let me know what you guys think in the comments field below, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden, signing out.